Should take a 6-year break. It's going to be exhausting. It's exhausting. And he's a big guy, by the way, because I got to do the show and I was like, you're a big dude. Really nice guy, but so I don't really know what they did as far as darkness goes on Smallville, but in Superman Returns, that film had a lot of very cool elements, but it also kind of didn't work in a lot of ways. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn by saying that. Brandon Routh, great guy. Unfortunate circumstances, very good actor. Did a great job in the role. What they're doing now, I haven't seen the trailer or anything of that nature. I've seen one picture of the underwearless Superman. I'm not sure. Jury's still out on that one. I'm not sure about that one yet. But I did meet Henry, and he's a great guy, and I think he has the right sentiment for playing the character. Certainly has the looks and the size and everything, and I think it's going to be fantastic. I look forward to seeing what they do with that, but I don't know if it's a conscious decision because of Dark Knight or things of that nature to make him darker. I really don't know. I reserve judgment until I see the film itself. I see that. It was fun when you're on a show and you're doing a series like that. I've often said, we work 18 hours a day minimum. I'd leave my house, I'd be home 18 hours later. Sometimes there was one day where we shot 22 hours. I say poor preparation, but other people say go to work. When you're there, you have that downtime in between scenes, in between things. I never wanted to have real idle time. You didn't have enough time to go to the gym or do something complete, so I would sit there and I would write stories. I loved doing that. It was my same time I got cast to play Clark in Lois and Clark. I had a writing deal at Hollywood Pictures, and I couldn't do both because the time commitment was too much for the acting. If I would, honestly, if I were to sit down and write another Superman story, I've seen the stories replayed on Spider-Man, on Batman, a lot of the things that we played in Lois and Clark. We had 86 hours or something of that nature to explore the relationship between the two. And I've seen the same thing. I've seen the Spider-Man movies go through a lot of the same beats that we did, and even Superman Returns, things like that. By the way, Superman Returns. How can Superman let another man raise his kid? Right. I'm sorry. That's a hard one for me to solve. That one really bothered me. But I digress. So I don't know where I would take it. I would sit down with the DC guys and I would sit down and talk about it, and I'd listen to what some people had to say, but ultimately I would take all that in and I would flush it because a story has to stand on its own. I don't know how dark Superman can get. He is the most moral of all characters. You have the most powerful man in the world raised on small-town American values, and it's a pretty strong story, and I'd like to be able to keep those values. It looked like Captain America did a good job in Avengers, and I'd like to see it, handled somewhat in the same way. And if I had a real good story for the next film, I would copyright it to the nth degree before I ever showed it to anybody. That is for sure. At this point in time, I don't have it. We touched on this earlier a little bit, and I think the thing about Superman is, here he is, this, we're America, we're a nation of immigrants. He's an immigrant, if you will. I met someone from the INS yesterday, and they asked me to sign a picture, and I wrote, "Don't deport me." I was on a Superman photo. We are a nation built on immigrants, and it makes us so diverse and so strong. And here you get a guy coming in from another planet who is raised in small-town America on small-town values, and what he says, truth, justice, and the American way. I think that's what he represents. I think that's about as wholesome as it gets, and that to me is the essence of Superman and the essence of America. I think it's the greatest thing that we have. So, honestly, get out, people watching, and there's no secret behind this. If y'all didn't watch things that I was in, I would never ever be able to get a job. So I appreciate you all. So thank you.
No problem. I got a two-part question for you. First, what are some funny stories that come to mind that happened on the set of Lois and Clark and your guest appearance on Smallville? And second, you mentioned that you're very much into writing. Comic books right now are under decline. What ways, if you had the opportunity, if you were given the ball, what would you like to do to bring comic books back to prominence?
Those some hard questions there, actually. I'll wrap into one. As far as the writing goes, I've never written comic books, and when I go to these cons, I see so many people who have such great, fresh ideas, great imaginations. I don't see that being a problem as far as coming up with new people writing things and doing new projects. What's confusing to me when I look at comics is that each character has like 3 or 4 different offshoots, and that's more confusing to me than having sort of one definitive storyline for the character. So maybe, you know, somewhere in there is the answer, because I don't know. For me, I don't know which Superman is it that you're talking about, this one or that one, and so it gets confusing. Maybe that muddies the brand a little. I don't know for certain. But I'm not involved in the comic book world. I'm not involved in the novel writing world. I pretty much only write screenplays, and that's kind of the only medium I really understand, because there are no rules, so it's great. Then as far as funny stories on Lois and Clark or Smallville, I could sit here for 3 days and tell you those stories.
Okay.
The one thing I'll say is fighting Tom Welling in Smallville. He's a big boy. I mean, he really is. I was like, he's a big old country boy. You know, he's thick and he's strong. He's 6'4". It was a lot of fun to do that. But the funny thing is when you're the one playing the character who does all the super things, whether it's super speed or super breath or laser vision or whatever it happens to be, deep vision, you know, when you're rehearsing it, you do certain things, and you kind of go, okay, so then I'll super speed through here, and super speed over here, and blow that part away at this. I don't know if I did it, because I was not conscious while I was acting and doing the things and rehearsing, but whenever Tom Welling was rehearsing super speed through an area, he always went, whoosh, whoosh. I got a good kick out of that. You know, and another thing was everybody wanted to fly. Whenever someone came on Lois and Clark, they wanted to fly. And flying is very uncomfortable because you wrap this girdle device, torture device, around your midsection, and you have 2 pig points at your hips, and you hang from those things. And what most people don't realize, it's changed now, by the way, it's a lot easier now, but back in the day, is if you're hung by 2 pig points, you look like this. And you hang that way, and you have to try to balance yourself out so you're straight. It's a very difficult thing to do. I was fortunate that I was able to do it and make it look relatively easy. Then we get our co-stars up there, and they hang like a noodle. And I always love to sit there and watch them and go, that's pretty fun, isn't it? Okay, let's cue the big old air mover now and see how many pebbles we can pick up off the floor and hit you in the face with, because that's what happens every single time. And the wind blows, there's little rocks and things get picked up, and you're getting pelted in the face. And I was going to kick out of watching everybody else fly. I was like, isn't that fun? All right. I mean, Terry was reduced to tears a few times when we had to do the dual things, and I would try to hold her as best I could. But it's a painful process. But yeah, my favorite thing was if anybody wanted to fly, be my guest. And then one other thing I could think of was from Penn and Teller, Penn Jillette. He weighs about 285 pounds. He's massive. And I was stronger back in the day. I had this one scene where I caught Penn and then sort of had him and walked around with him, which I did. I held him and walked around. And I played in the NFL, and I picked up 265-pound guys a lot. I knocked them down, I smacked into them. 285 is just, I think it just breaks my threshold. As I was holding him there, I could literally feel the bones in my ankles going, please. I realized that, you know, that's as far as I could go. I was holding him. And nowadays, forget it. It doesn't happen. But we had so many stories that literally would go on and on and on. But doing the stunts and things was always my most, I enjoyed that the most. Maybe that's why I like doing Stars and Stripes so much now, because you're constantly just doing stunts. It's a lot of fun, and they're meant to be not dangerous. But unfortunately, one episode, the Virtually Destroyed episode, I almost killed my own stuntman in that one where he was going to get thrown through a window. As he goes through the window, the stunt guys are supposed to blow the window so it cracks, and he goes into the window, and he kind of got hung up the way he jumped. And they cracked the window a little early, and he fell down, and they cut up the whole inside of his face and everything. It was pretty bad. But he wasn't that pretty to begin with, so. No, I'm kidding. He, in fact, was so good as a stuntman that we shot an episode where I was playing opposite myself all the time, and it was him. So it was great to shoot over his whole shoulder and see me, because the side of his face looked the same. Of course, the front of his face was all cut up, so it did not fit. So it was great. But there are, the stunts and stuff like that, there was always a lot of fun things. And I could out-jump him too, which also ticked him off, because there was one stunt on a mini tram that he couldn't do, and then I went and did it, and he said, "Don't do that again." Okay, you got it. But great guy. Lincoln Simons is his name. He did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.